So it is May 29th, 2021. It's about 1:30 in the morning. Coming at you from Boston, USA. Welcome back to OnChain-Analysis. We're going to dive into some news. I just wanted to share with you guys. We've got, there's just been this dialogue between Elon Musk and, well, I'm sure you guys know the whole reason why we're in this mess. Well, part of the reason why we're in this mess is Elon tweeted about the energy inefficiency of Bitcoin. Well, I think a lot of people are wondering, is ADA going to be the solution that Tesla turns to? Well, there was a recent article that was posted in Yahoo Finance, and I just wanted to share this with you guys because I think it's relatively important. So Charles Hoskinson, Cardano founder, as well as Ethereum co-founder, sat down with Yahoo Finance's Akiko Fujita and Zach Guzman to talk about all things cryptocurrency, from Elon Musk's recent tweets to how Cardano stands out in the crypto space and the climate impact of cryptocurrencies moving forward. So I thought this was pretty interesting. So, this is just a transcript of the conversation between Charles and Yahoo Finance folks here. So I'm just going to jump ahead. So he says, you guys have made some headlines lately, partly on the back of Elon Musk's tweet. So let's sort of talk about this ride that we've seen, the volatility we've seen in cryptocurrency. Elon Musk, of course, wiping out about $300 billion in crypto market value in just hours when he came out and said that Tesla was pivoting away from Bitcoin because of environmental concerns. So just for the folks out there who don't know, but Bitcoin mining consumes many, many terawatts of energy. I guess it wouldn't be so bad if it was we used, some energy efficient methods for retrieving that electricity. But, in some of these countries, they still use coal, such as China. And so anyway, we saw a major dip over the last couple weeks, and man, it's been rough. Anyway, I think we're pulling out of it. Looks like ADA has been, we'll jump into the charts in a couple minutes, but looks like ADA's bulls are coming back. So you then tweeted, are we finally going to be having this Cardano discussion? You saw a surge in your token as well. Walk me through your claim here, your outreach to Elon, and if you've heard from him. Charles Hoskinson replies, no, I haven't heard from Elon, but that's to be expected. In general, this is an old dispute that we've had in the cryptocurrency space. It's been going on since 2011, the whole proof of stake versus the proof of work dispute, and it revolves around engine efficiency. So basically, all cryptocurrencies, they all have a consensus algorithm, and that's what runs them and what allows you to process smart contracts and transactions and engines. Some of them are very low power and some of them very high power. And so the kinds of engines we build with our company and many other people in the space, the third generation cryptocurrencies, are very efficient. So, he's speaking about the two-layer consensus mechanism, which I think is it's the only way to go, right? Staking. I love them rewards. So I'm going to skip through some of this here, but Charles says, look at it like technology back in the 19th century with the Industrial Revolution. They had originally wood powering steam engines, and they were clear cutting all forests in Europe. So if that trend continued, it would have been an ecological disaster. But then they found better fuel sources like coal and oil and so forth, and they were able to mitigate that. And similarly, innovation gets you out of these situations. The goal of Bitcoin was really saying, hey, we want a decentralized settlement system, and we can teleport this digital gold anywhere in the world instantly. And that was a revolution, and that was revolutionary for 2009. Remember, we're in a different place. We have millions of people floating around, thousands of academic papers, millions in lines of code, and an enormous amount of technological investment. And we've just simply moved on, We've innovated to a point where you don't need to clear cut those forests anymore. And unfortunately, the people in the Bitcoin space, some of them feel that there's only one truth: the wood-powered steam engine. But what's nice is that there's a big pivot. And if you look at Bitcoin dominance, I think it's about 47 to 46%. All coins at this point are worth more collectively than Bitcoin is. And there's a lot of institutional money that's leaving proof of work coins, and it's going into greener alternatives. So is Elon looking at ADA? Not just because they're more efficient, but because a lot of them do more. So Charles talks about a little bit about the smart contracts and about how they have identity and they have metadata, and these are the bread and butter if you actually want to do real financial applications that are regulated and actually mobile. Yeah, so and Charles, when it comes to how Cardano fits into that mix, right? We've talked a lot about being an Ethereum killer, so-called Ethereum killer, for a while. When we talk about the technology that it offers. I know you also chatted with Mark Cuban about potentially being the platform that he could look to. I mean, what is it that sets Cardano apart that you've been stressing to some bigger names like Mark Cuban? So, I mean, Charles Hoskins replies, he says, yeah, well, it's interesting about Mark Cuban in particular. We both didn't know that we were already talking to each other. So he has this NFT marketplace that he's been building, and our people were talking to his people about an MOU for integration. And I had no idea that they were talking. He had no idea. So after we had a Twitter spat going back and forth about Cardano, he actually got personally involved in those negotiations. But I think we came to terms on something. So what did Charles Hoskinson come to terms with Mark Cuban about? In general, everybody's just trying to understand this. I mean, you have waves of adoption. I've been in the space for a really long time and kind of a weird guy, which is why I have the samurai armor and so forth. But now mainstream real people are coming into the space and they're trying to figure out, well, what can I do with this? So how do I do lending? How do I do insurance, payments? Why are these things better than conventional legacy systems? And usually it breaks down to saying you have fast finality. You have global settlement. You have significantly lower cost structures. It's easier to scale things down. So, for example, in micro IPOs, you have IPO small scale firms, not just $100 million, $200 million deals. And the reason we built Cardano was that we wanted to build a collection of protocols that could do all of these things, specifically for the developing world, because we saw Africa growing at 10 to 15% a year. I mean, Africa is a big place. It's a big place. I mean, there's a lot of people and there's a lot of resources there. Why are we not looking at Africa? Well, Charles Hoskinson and the IOG team is looking there. In Southeast Asia, growing at similar paces, and do that for some time for some of the poorest people around the world, who over the next 30 to 50 years will build up wealth. And they could continue to be at a completely alternative system that has been built into everything. It has governance built into it. It has compliance. And these are the kinds of conversations that we have. And we've seen not only us tremendous growth, But we've seen the industry as a whole have tremendous growth, and actually government adoption is pretty remarkable. I will say government contracts is very remarkable. In the short term, I mean, when you point to projects being built on Cardano now, I think the protocol, as you laid out kind of a February timeline for smart contracts to be built on, I mean, that's what's the update there in terms of building on top of Cardano relative to some of these other projects out there that also claim to be Ethereum killers. So Charles Hoskinson responds to this Ethereum killer thing, and he says, first off, it's important to say Ethereum is killing itself. They're replacing Ethereum with Ethereum 2.0. So Ethereum 2 will kill Ethereum 1. So I think that's the Ethereum killer, you know? We try to do more holistic things. We're not out to kill anything. It's not just about killing. Can you process smart contracts? It also, can you do that with identity and compliance? Can you do that with metadata? Can you do that with automated regulation? These types of things, Charles? There are a lot of pieces missing. And can you do that at a scale from billions of people? And can you do that with some notion of governance that doesn't require a custodial entity to always be around to take care of it? We're used to custodial entities charging us an arm and a leg for every transaction that we make, killing us with these interest rates and these PMIs and God knows what. You have Microsoft to Windows, you have Apple to iPhone and so forth, and you always say, okay, they're the guys that are going to get the next version out. But when you strip away that centralized curator, who's going to make it quantum resistant, Charles? Who's going to do the next big innovation? Who's going to make sure it's interoperable with some big legacy payment system or BIS or BS shoot or something for CBDCs and so forth? So Cardano was really built to be holistic in that respect. For smart contracts, we're almost through that entire rollout. So we started in December with metadata, and that allowed us to bring identity to the block. Who's on the block now? Sucker. And we've already started deploying those systems in Georgia, the country of Georgia, and in Ethiopia for 5 million students. The next major milestone was ability to issue assets on the platform. We're seeing the largest adoption there with NFTs, and there's a lot of NFTs, a lot of NFT platforms coming in, and the final rollout will be programmability. So that's smart contracts. That's imminent in the platform. The next 90 days, we should see a lot of beta testing, and that's it. Just a question of what's the best time to do that for all people who use it. Because these things are big ecosystems. Now, there's over 100 exchanges that have listed and lots of wallets and so forth. So you can't really move unilaterally. You have to kind of move in the giant swarm of people, and it takes some time to do that. So give Charles some time. I mean, I'm in no rush. My ADA is earning rewards every month. Every 5 days, to be a matter of fact. Charles, you recently posted a clip that was sort of directed at Elon Musk on how Dogecoin can be fixed, essentially improving its transaction speed so it can be make it more like Bitcoin. I know I'm oversimplifying that, but what do you see as the future use of Dogecoin? So Charles responds and he says, it has no use or utility. I love Charles. Let me tell you, he's the man. That's my great umbrage with this whole affair. Charles goes on and he says, I mean, it's one thing to pick winners and losers, but Doge is just in the gutter. There's plenty of great coins out there like ICTs and polka dots and holograms and Cardano, and we all believe our own ships. obviously, I think Cardano is the best, right? Well, Charles, I agree with you. I also think Cardano is the best. So Charles says, I created it, but it's reasonable. People can disagree. The issue is Dogecoin, it's a copy of a copy. So it's a copy of Litecoin, which in turn is a copy of Bitcoin. And there's really no innovation there. So let me ask a question before I go any further. Why, if Elon Musk is talking smack about Bitcoin and Litecoin is a copy of Bitcoin and Dogecoin is a copy of Litecoin, it seems like Elon is stepping in a whole lot of crap here. And there's just no innovation. So it's as if you just stopped protocol development 2011, 2012. And we're backtracking, going back to the old coal days. And now you have this very prominent person who's a real engineer launching rockets to Mars and everything else with one of the wealthiest people in the world with giant engineering companies coming in and advocating that retail investors en masse come in and buy this shitcoin that has unlimited inflation and has no real use, utility, or consumption. I mean, Dogecoin is they're minted. You know how many Dogecoin are minted every minute? I mean, for those guys out there, for all you guys who are investing in Dogecoin, I mean, best of luck to you, because I mean, there are so many Dogecoin being printed every single second that you're running on a treadmill. You ain't getting nowhere. And no proper custodianship. There's really not a strong development team there, and there's no real roadmap. I mean, Shiba Inu at least has a roadmap. I mean, Shiba is gonna go quantum leaps beyond Dogecoin. We all know that. It's built on Ethereum at least. At least it got some security. Does Dogecoin have security? I don't think so. It's a meme coin. I mean, it's a joke. And if he wants to come in and rewrite the whole thing, what I was trying to prove in that video was this is not a simple matter. It's a major overhaul. I mean, you can't just turn a shitcoin into, a workable blockchain project that's going to like be able to, I mean, look what happened to Binance. I mean, this recent hack the other day, Binance got hacked for $7 million. I mean, it wasn't Binance. It was one of their pancake or some one of those cake swap things. But I mean, if that thing is getting hacked, I think Dogecoin is also susceptible to getting hacked. It's like those old shows where you refurbish a tractor or a car or something and they take you through the whole process and sandblast it and have to repaint it. Well, that's what they'd have to do for Dogecoin. So Charles outlined 11 different papers and techniques that would have to bring in just to make Dogecoin comparable with what the third generation cryptocurrencies are bringing in this year and next year. And not innovating, just bringing it up to speed with what Ethereum 2 is promising and Cardano is promising, and so forth. So, Charles, I'm talking like the Yahoo finance people. So Charles, why are you actually doing this? Why are you really committed for this? And do you understand that when the song stops, all these retail investors are going to be left holding the ball and the price is going to collapse? The other danger is 90+% the distribution of Doge is in less than 1% of the wallets. I mean, 90% of Dogecoin is being held by less than 1% of the wallets. Like, what does that tell you? That tells you that this is a scam diggity do, and you are going to be thrown in the pool because when those 2, 3, 4 people decide, hey, Joe, you ready to sell Dogecoin? What's the number, man? 92 cents? Okay, I got you. We're going to sell it 92 cents. And all you investors out there got your life savings in, man, it's going to be ugly. So there's a very high concentration of wealth in the hands of a very few. And they had that wealth when Doge was very cheap. So they can sell at $1, they can sell at 50 cents, they can sell at 10 cents and still make windfall profits. A lot of these retail investors are buying at very high price point, like above 50% and so forth. So that's a very unhealthy mechanic. It's at any time a small people can crash the entire market and cause catastrophic cascading harm, and it just makes no sense why he would advocate such a thing. So my question to Elon Musk is, why are you advocating for people to pour their money into a coin where more than 90% of the value of that cryptocurrency is held by less than 1% of the token holders? Why would he do that? Why would Elon do that? That's a good question. So just to return to your point, Don, on the ETH killer kind of clarification there, it is interesting because as they shift to proof of stake, you can make the argument that it could be a Cardano killer. That was the sustainability and the aspect of that, kind of how you guys differentiated. And obviously, it takes longer for smart contracts are supposed to come out, if you say the next 90 days. Charles Hoskinson doesn't really like that too much. He says, I don't look at it that way, man. He said, we were always with the mantra of scalability, interoperability, and sustainability. Never did I change my tune. We always had the same plan. And so, yeah, sure, proof of stake is great, and we're leading that fight. And Ethereum stinks in comparison to Cardano. We were just first to market with this takeover of Ethereum, and they're still having trouble. But that's only one part of the agenda, you see. That's just saying we have a better engine. Engine doesn't make a BMW a BMW. It's part of it. But you need the whole ecosystem. You need the whole collection of things. And one of the big things that F2 has bowed out on is governance. F2 has no governance. It's not clear how do you evolve and update the system after the founders retire or lose prominence. And the bigger these systems get, the slower they evolve. Look at Bitcoin. You have these Bitcoin core developers who desperately want to evolve the system and add smart contracts and side chains and new cryptographic prototypes and primitives like Snorsix. They just can't get it done, even though they all agree it's a good idea and they need to do it for the marketplace to stay competitive. It's just a big boat. It's like a cruise ship. You move the whole wheel and it doesn't move for a long time. And so theory is suffering from that problem. And they don't have an obvious on-chain governance system, and that's not in the roadmap for F2, whereas it's a core part of our roadmap. The second part of it is interoperability. So protocols like Cosmos, Polkadot, and Cardano and others, we make special provisions for side chains. Ethereum really doesn't do this as well in its current instantiation in a cost-effective way. F2, they kind of have this idea with it, but it's still not clear how that model is going to work, especially we have interplay with permissioned and permissionless systems. So they're very different. Actually, when you look under the hood, even if they are the same, there's different user bases. So here's where Cardano speaks to, I believe, their biggest strength, right? We're bringing in millions of people in Africa. Not even, look at the Cardano community. More than 72% of Cardano is being staked by the community. People, delegators like myself, I'll put it out there. I'm a delegator. I'm a big delegator because I believe in the project and I will not pull my Cardano out. We're bringing in millions of people that simply Ethereum doesn't seem to care about, because we never run into their guys or their consensus or other people outside of South Africa and on a few well-developed places in Africa. So we have different technologies. We have different philosophies. Oh man, Ethereum is a good. I mean, I like Ethereum. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Ethereum was the first mover. I get it. It's a closed system, though. Unfortunately, I mean, we just don't see a lot of adoption outside of DeFi. And yeah. So anyway, I'm going to finish off here where it just says, we have different user bases and different time horizons and so forth, and also very different accounting models. So right here, there's the UTXO is a question mark. So the UTXO, as many of you guys know, just allows for significantly more scalable model because it's got local state instead of global state compared to what Ethereum is proposing. And that's another reason they're having so much difficulty sharding themselves. They are definitely sharding themselves. I mean, they must change their underwear quite a few times a day. Well, it's built by design for Cardano. So I think it'll be a leader for micropayments. Will be a leader from what we actually have to shard, and we can scale at much higher levels. But we also have governance, and they simply just don't. So I feel better about that. But again, everybody is free to disagree, and that's what makes it fun, right? So Charles wrapped up that little interview, but it seems like I don't know what's getting what Elon Musk is thinking here, because he's pushing this Dogecoin pretty hard, and I don't really understand why. It seems a little weird that a man who's an engineer would understand the fundamentals behind Dogecoin and understand that like everybody that he's leading into that project is doomed. Anyway, so let's go into some of the price charts for today. I just want to talk a little bit about Cardano. Cardano price pulls back, but remains above the critically important 2018 high of $1.30. And we're staying there on May 25th. ADA released from an inverse head and shoulders pattern in the 4-hour chart. Current data shows a cluster of resistance at the 618 Fibonacci. ADA is being confronted with some broader market volatility, but it remains well positioned to be one of the leading digital assets moving forward. So overall, digital assets saw, based on what I was looking at and some of the metrics recently, it looked like about $100 million of outflows for the past 2 weeks. But even though we saw $100 million leave the altcoin market over the last 2 weeks, it really only represents about 0.2% of the total assets that are under management. And in comparison to the yearly total inflows of around 5.5 billion. So over the past 2 weeks, the total altcoin inflows totaled around 27 million, with Cardano registering the largest institutional inflows at around 10 million. It was the second consecutive week of ADA inflows, pushing yearly total inflows up to around 24 million for Cardano institutional investment products. And recently, Coinbase suggested that the bullish inflows may represent some investors actively choosing proof of stake coins now over proof of work due to environmental considerations, is the way they put it. So on May 25th, Cardano price emerged from an inverse head and shoulders, as we can see here. The formation on the 4-hour chart, but failed to provoke enough emotion and commitment from the bulls. The pullback has not undercut the Cardano price low of the right shoulder of the formation at $1.42, implying that the breakout still remains active, as we can see here. We're just touching on the moving average there. Ideally, if ADA bears push a sell down further, the old 2018 high of $1.39 will offer strong support and give us a much needed rebound for the bulls, despite any residual selling pressure in the market. The Cardano price breakout resumption would first find resistance at the same 618 Fibonacci, and we saw earlier during the May crash, and that would be somewhere around $1.69. We should see some ranging between this level and around $1.79 or $1.89. That's dictated by the May 7th dip, as we saw over here. In the week ahead, resistance comes in at around the 786 retracement, around $1.99, with our key psychological glass ceiling at around $2. If Cardano price trades below the shoulder at the $1.42, we can see ADA test the 2018 high at around $1.39. If we do see a monthly close like around that $1.35, this would paint a massive long leg doji pattern, which would tell us that there is a lot of equilibrium between buyers and sellers, and lots of indecision among the bulls. So let's just go into the price point right now. Looks like we had started to have a little bit of breakout there a little while ago. It's about 2 a.m. right now in Boston. So we should range between here and $1.75 over the next couple of days. But I do expect a breakout coming real soon. We will test that $1.99, $2 psychological mark, and hopefully the bulls can push through. But, I think the time has come. I really want to hear something real from Elon, because this whole Dogecoin thing. I mean, look at Shiba Inu. I mean, let me tell you about Shiba Inu here. I mean, Shiba compared to Doge, at least they're going to come out with a DEX. I mean, I don't know if I would invest in Shiba, but it looks pretty good. I mean, if we look at, it's at a great price point. I mean, if you want to get into a meme coin, I mean, Shiba Inu is down at really low, 0.0000000794. So you can probably pick up around 700 million for $50, which is pretty good. But I think once they release that DEX, I think Shiba Inu actually should gain some pretty good ground here. We'll probably retest the high up here at 35, 37 millionths of a cent. And just let's take a look at Bitcoin real quick while we're here. Bitcoin is still trading down around the 36, 37,000 range. I've been, hearing a lot about market manipulation and hedge funds and all kinds of, there's just a lot of FUD in the market right now. We got Biden taxes and the capital gains tax and SEC regulation. China's banning Bitcoin, and it's ugly. But let me tell you something. The bull market is not over. And this is not financial advice, but the bull market's not over. Attention, all investors. The bull market is not over. We are going to see this thing launch, and I'm just accumulating. I'm just DCAing. These are great prices right now. Look at VeChain. VeChain is looking bullish. Look at this thing. This thing is ready to pop. You know it. And this is a great price. 11 cents for VeChain. I guarantee you, and this is not financial advice, but we are probably going to be breaking this 27, 28 cent mark here within the next month. And let me tell you, I was one of the lucky fellas here. That's right. You see it. I was one of the lucky fellas down here. So VeChain got a lot of products too. They got a lot of solving a lot of real world use cases out there in the enterprise world. And yeah, I think they're going to do big things as well. So I did read an article recently that VeChain was going to be, they were visited by the Chinese government, and Chinese government's looking to VeChain to be able to support the rollout of their digital fiat. So, who knows? Maybe there's a future partnership between Chinese government and VeChain. That would be great. So that's it. That's all I got for you guys. And happy Memorial Day, everybody.
Welcome back from Boston, USA. Hit the like.